It is Boxing Day, quite all right, but you know that politics never quite goes on a holiday. So our next focus on the program will be the allegations of foreign influence on the government's decision to release Mr. Sowore and Colonel Dasuki retired. Add to that the government's rebuttal of this allegation. And we're being joined by Comrade Atayi, an APC member. He joins us from our Abuja studio, as well as Bishop Amakiri, who was the national chairman of the YPP. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program this afternoon, and happy Boxing Day to you.
Thank you. I wish you the same too.
Thank you very much. Let me begin with Mr. Amakiri. Now, the president's spokesperson has said consistently that Nigeria is a sovereign nation and foreign influence does not determine the government's action. And an example is the release of Mr. Sowore, which some have alleged was as a result of the U.S.'s intervention, for example. So do you align with this argument?
Thank you, my brother Cardi. Let me use this opportunity to first of all, on behalf of the entire members of the Young Progressives Party, the next government in waiting by the grace of God, congratulate Nigerians and wish them a happy Boxing Day celebration and a new year, a prosperous new year ahead. The truth of the matter is that in the spirit of nationhood and progress, it is important also that I also let Nigerians know that they must continue to remain very vigilant because the PDP and the APC are still in government, and so therefore anything is very possible. I'm not actually really amazed that things like this are really happening, but we just need to have, a way forward. Back to the question. I think the government is just crying foul. They're just crying wolf. It's a wolf cry. And I say this because we don't need even international communities to come and tell us what to do in our country. This constitution, we are the aborigines of this country. It is people from Nigeria that drafted this constitution. And I do not think that this constitution is made for fancy. It is made, for practice. And if the government is saying that they did not bow to, pressure from international community, of course. And I think maybe this is just about inferiority complex. It is long overdue that we are supposed to uphold to our, in fact, the PDP, honestly speaking, and the APC has continued to threaten the sanctity of our constitutional establishment.
Mr. Amakiri,
this is a thing to worry.
Right. Let's bring in Comrade Atayi just to add to your point. So, as much as the government has denied the influence of foreign parties in this case, we cannot rule out the role of international organizations or nations in governance. Perhaps small or little. But the question here is, how much is too much?
How much is too much? I don't see anything too much to respect the rule of law and democratic ethics. Nigeria is a sovereign state, no doubt. And of course, we, under the UN Charter, we are a member nation of the United Nations Organization. And of such, even if there were perceived interference from the U.S., like I have not substantiated it, that 4 senators from the U.S. Congress and 2 House of Rep members intervened on the case of Sowore via a written letter note. But of recent, the president has clearly stated that democracy is slow per se because of the interference of court rulings. However, as a Democrat, that he would, of course, apply democratic ethics by giving respect to the rule of law. And you will also bear with me, after all, that this nation that we are, it is actually not everything that is legal that is quite right. And it is not everything that is quite right that could be legal. You see some legal interference, promoting the motion that corruption have taken. And if we really want to fight corruption and
Comrade Atayi, just a moment.
Security.
Comrade Atayi, if I may come in here just to get clarification on what you just said. Now, some might think that's an indictment on the Constitution because the Constitution is meant to be, in quote, the finality. So if you say that what's in the Constitution sometimes is not right. Don't you think that is misplaced somewhat?
Everything in the Constitution, remember the Constitution was a fiat one, was a military constitution. And we should not forget in a hurry that the document still have some areas where amendment is required or are required to have effect in the Constitution. Though the 1999 amendment was not quite okay yet, there are some lacuna in the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, but my knowledge of analysis and media law, I should be able to tell if Constitution is faulty or not. For instance, the Constitution aids governors with a power of immunity. And of course, they can go scot-free, perhaps, when they do, even if they commit heinous crimes, or even if they are indicted of corruption, except they either step down as governor before they could be prosecuted. And that, to me, is a leverage for corruption. So there are so many other things. Like people are agitating, like you see the southeastern part agitating for Biafra, some part of it are agitating for Biafra. The southwestern part of the country, they are agitating for, what do we call it? Is it not revolution per se, I'll come to that per se. And are they agitating for that? The northern part too, you see the insurgency from the northeastern part.
Comrade Atayi, don't you think that
the constitutional framework?
Comrade Atayi, don't you think what we should be doing now is to perhaps identify those lacunas you have talked about and, fixing them than disobeying what is in that constitution? Don't you think that's what we should focus on right now?
It is the contempt of court, like we asserted, that perhaps the federal government have in one or two occasions, exhibited, was because the DSS factors, there are informations available to the DSS that you and I might not be privy to. And of course, for the national security interest, there are things that the DSS and even the FG may carry out in order to undo some proposed or foreseen threat. And in the case of Sowore and...
For a moment. Comrade Atayi, I'll need you to hold on at this moment. Let me bring in Bishop Amakiri just on a final note. Now, this is where we stand right now. There seems to be a controversy on, court orders, obeying court orders, what is right, what is lawful. But the Constitution is clear. I mean, the court rulings are clear. And now that we're talking about, foreign influence or what have you, the statements you have seen made by, for example, the president's spokesman, do you think it might affect our relationship with the U.S., for example, or other international organizations?
You see, my own humble opinion is that I think it's high time we really depart from this myopic kind of, thought, thinking that until we wait for some kind of foreign powers, coming into our affairs to come and tell us what to do. And that's why it's even a shameful thing for me to be hearing at this time that they are saying it is because it shouldn't be a thing that will be in the public, for debate, whether it was America that waded into, what is happening in our country before. Look, like I rightly say, Abinisho, this Constitution, American, with all the powers they have in the world, including them, France, name all these countries. None of them have the power, the constitutional power to come and assert anything in our constitution in Nigeria. They do not have that power. So what I'm saying is...
Bishop Amakiri, it's Boxing Day. It's Boxing Day, and we need to allow you, spend time with family and all that. But we'll have to appreciate you for your time this afternoon on the program. We've been speaking with Bishop Amakiri, the national chairman of YPP, as well as Comrade Atayi, a member of the ruling APC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and happy Boxing Day once more. Just before we go, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and former Edo State Governor, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, on Wednesday rejected Christmas gift sent to him by the Edo State government. You might say this was done by proxy. It was gathered that messengers from the state government were dispatched to deliver the conventional Christmas presents reserved for former governors to the state, or governors of the state to Oshiomhole, but they were turned back. So that's what we have at this moment. And that's it on Lunchtime Politics. Don't forget, you can always join the conversation on social media and watch this on YouTube. I am Kayode Kikelu. Thank you for joining us. Have a great Boxing Day.